You had a dream last night. You almost certainly do not remember it. Maybe you woke up with a faint feeling, something emotional, something vivid, a face you almost recognized, a place that felt familiar but was not quite real. And then, within seconds, it was gone. Not faded. Gone. As if it never happened at all. This is not a failure of memory. Your brain did this deliberately. And the reason why is one of the strangest and most revealing things we know about how the human mind actually works. Every night, you spend roughly 2 hours inside dreams. Not in one long stretch, but in cycles, each one longer than the last, concentrated in the final hours before you wake. During this time, your brain is extraordinarily active, in some ways more active than when you are awake. You are constructing entire environments, creating people, running simulations of social situations, experiencing fear, joy, grief, and wonder, all generated entirely from within your own mind. And then your brain erases almost all of it. The mechanism behind this erasure begins with a single chemical, norepinephrine. During waking hours, your brain produces norepinephrine continuously. It is a neurotransmitter closely linked to attention, alertness, and memory consolidation. When something happens that your brain decides is worth remembering, norepinephrine helps encode it. It is part of the chemical signal that says this matters, keep this. During REM sleep, the stage of sleep most associated with vivid dreaming, norepinephrine production shuts down almost completely. The neurons that produce it go quiet in a way they do at almost no other time. This was discovered by researchers, including Jerome Siegel at UCLA, whose work on the neurochemistry of sleep has helped explain why the dreaming brain is chemically different from the waking brain in such a fundamental way. Without norepinephrine, the memory consolidation process that normally captures your experiences simply does not fire. Dreams play out in full, with extraordinary vividness and emotional intensity, but the chemical signal needed to transfer them into long-term memory is absent. When you wake up, there is almost nothing to retrieve. But this raises an obvious question. If the brain is going to erase the dreams anyway, why create them so vividly in the first place? Why run an entire immersive simulation with full emotional depth and then delete the recording? The answer appears to be that the dreaming itself is the point, not the memory of it. One of the leading theories of dreaming, developed by neuroscientist Matthew Walker at the University of California, Berkeley, and detailed in his research on sleep and memory, proposes that REM sleep serves as a kind of overnight emotional processing system. During the day, you accumulate experiences, and many of them carry emotional weight: stress, anxiety, unresolved conflict, fear. During REM sleep, the brain replays these experiences, but in a neurochemical environment that is stripped of norepinephrine and therefore stripped of the acute stress response that accompanied them originally. This is the key insight. In the absence of the stress chemical, the brain can revisit difficult experiences without reactivating the full emotional pain attached to them. It can process them, recontextualize them, extract whatever is useful, and file them away in a calmer form. You wake up, and the raw edge of yesterday's anxiety has softened. Not because you consciously worked through it, but because your sleeping brain did the work for you in a chemical environment specifically designed to make that processing safe. Walker has described REM sleep as a kind of overnight therapy. And the deletion of the dream from conscious memory may be a feature of this system rather than a flaw. Once the emotional processing is complete, the specific content of the dream, the faces, the places, the narrative, is no longer needed. What remains is the processed emotion already integrated. The dream itself can be erased. There is a second theory that complements this one, focused not on emotion but on creativity and pattern recognition. During REM sleep, the brain makes connections between memories and experiences in ways it does not during waking. The normal boundaries between unrelated ideas become more porous. This is why dreams so often feel associative and strange. Your childhood home is also somehow your office. A person you know shifts into being someone else entirely. Events from years apart happen simultaneously. The brain is not being confused. It is deliberately loosening its own constraints and allowing distant memories and concepts to interact in unusual combinations. Researchers believe this process underlies the well-documented link between sleep and creative insight. The famous stories of scientific and artistic breakthroughs happening during or just after sleep. The chemist Auguste Kekulé reportedly dreaming of a snake eating its own tail and waking up with the ring structure of benzene, Paul McCartney hearing the melody of yesterday in a dream, are not coincidences. They reflect a brain that has been running loose creative associations all night and occasionally surfaces one that is genuinely valuable. Again, the deletion makes sense within this framework. The brain ran thousands of unusual associations overnight. Most of them were noise. A small number were signal. The useful ones have already been integrated into memory before you woke up. The rest can be discarded. But this does not explain everything, because some people remember their dreams vividly, and some people remember almost nothing at all, and the difference between them is revealing. Research suggests that people who tend to wake briefly during the night, particularly during or just after REM sleep, are more likely to remember their dreams. The transition from sleep to wakefulness appears to create a small window in which the dreaming brain can partially transfer its contents into conscious memory before the waking neurochemistry takes over. If you wake abruptly from a dream and immediately focus on it, you can sometimes hold fragments of it long enough to consolidate them. This is why writing down dreams immediately upon waking, before getting up, before checking your phone, before speaking to anyone, can dramatically increase dream recall. The norepinephrine system begins firing the moment you wake, but there is a brief grace period before the erasure is complete. People who exploit this window consistently remember more. There is also evidence that certain personality traits correlate with better dream recall. People who score higher on measures of openness to experience, a personality dimension linked to curiosity, creativity, and imagination, tend to remember more of their dreams. The connection is not fully understood, but it may relate to the same underlying differences in how the brain processes and files unusual associations during sleep. What all of this reveals is that dreaming is not a passive side effect of sleep. It is an active, purposeful process that your brain runs every single night, consuming significant biological resources, serving functions that are critical to emotional health, memory, and creative thinking. The forgetting is not a malfunction. It is the system working exactly as designed. Your brain spent last night processing your emotional life, testing creative connections, running simulations of social scenarios, and preparing you to face today more clearly and with more resilience than you would have had without it. And then, as you opened your eyes, it quietly cleared the workspace. The dream is gone. But what it did for you is still there. You just cannot see it.